rapidly intensified by any stretch, but some slight strengthening from the last advisory. No question about it. We'll get to the advisory in just a second here. We're already, again, seeing some of the conditions here that have gone downhill in a number of areas here across South Florida and around the Keys. Key Largo is one of those spots where you've seen winds gusting here right now over 20 miles per hour. With some sustained winds around 15, and we've seen some occasional heavier downpours through the area as well. We've also dealt with that in and around Fort Lauderdale. We had a heavy batch of rain come through earlier today. It actually had a band of rain come through that had a tornado warning. There was an area of rotation that showed up that moved right through the heart of the city. We no longer have that. That's some good news, but we could see some more occasional heavy rains here, or the outer bands that have been kind of rolling on into southeastern portions of Florida there. Now, not too much going on in terms of heavy rain or gusty winds, but again, that could change as Debbie continues to push northbound. Let's get you to the latest here when it comes to what's going on with Debbie. The latest stats have it as a 45 mile per hour tropical storm. There you can see it again. The last advisory had it at 40. Now 45, so again, slight strengthening. Central pressure has come down just a bit, and you see pressure coming down. We keep seeing that. The winds generally respond, and they go up a bit. Moving to the northwest at about 14 miles per hour, and you can see when we start looking at the satellite presentation, you can kind of pick out the kind of general envelope here of the sort of the rotation associated with what's going on with Debbie. But then you can see some individual storms flaring up as well, and some of those are starting to kind of flare up a bit more around the center of the circulation. You start seeing that maintaining a bit more, Debbie's going to have a chance to strengthen even more, which again is anticipated here. There's really nothing that is in the way to prevent that from happening. Tropical storm watches and warnings, as well as hurricane warnings, are in effect. Hurricane warnings in that purple zone. That's where the system is expected to make that landfall, at least right now in the forecast, right in that Big Bend area. Hence the reason the hurricane warnings are there. The strongest of the winds are expected to be where the landfall is taking shape. But tropical storm conditions, that's expected here for basically the entire west coast of Florida, Tampa included there. We'll start to see conditions moving downhill heading on into tomorrow. Water vapor imagery shows you here the moisture that's enveloping the system itself, Debbie. So we don't have a dry air that's going to be intruding into that area. We do have a trough that's dug its way here across the south. Now that trough helped to kind of steer Debbie northbound a bit, but that trough is going to be moving away, so it's not going to take Debbie with it. It's kind of going to bypass it and lift out of the way, and then high pressure builds in. And as that happens, that's where things get a little bit more squirrely in terms of what's going to happen with Debbie. It's not going to move a whole lot. There's just nothing to steer it and get it out of the way. So it's going to sit here either just off the southeast coast or off over land, South Georgia, maybe up into South Carolina. In either case, it's going to have an opportunity to dump a lot of rain, and that is what is in the forecast here for us. A lot of deep tropical moisture here that's going to be across the peninsula of Florida and then working its way northbound across the southeast. For Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday, Thursday, it's not moving very much at all. According to the European model, it brings it out over the Atlantic now, which will give it a chance to strengthen it a bit more and then eventually move its way back inland. So we could be talking about another landfall when it comes to Debbie here down the road. But in the meantime, watch that rainfall. European model has a swath of heavy rain for basically the Big Bend area all the way up into South Carolina. Some of those areas here south and west of Charleston, we could be talking about maybe 1.5 feet to maybe close to 2 feet of rain adding up in that area. The GFS American model shifts some heavier rain, maybe even back into the southern suburbs of Atlanta, where we could see 3 to 5 inches of rain. But overall, the bullseye of heavy rain, yeah, right there, basically between the state lines of Georgia as well as South Carolina, 1 foot to 1.5 feet. A lot of heavy rain. We start talking about, Jen, a slow-moving tropical